Welcome to the SaaSTrana podcast. I am Venkatesh Sundar, Venky, founder at Indusface. My goal is to help SaaS companies secure their applications. Applications are central to a SaaS business, and for them to succeed, security, compliances are often the roadblock and barriers for speed, which is so critical to SaaS companies. In this podcast, we'll talk with SaaS practitioners and technology leaders to understand and learn from them the best practices for addressing application security. Today we have with us Kashish, CTO at Draup. Draup provides an AI-enabled SaaS platform for some of the biggest brands and business, which enables them to plan, hire, and upskill their workforce and sales talent. Kashish in this podcast is going to share with us how he looks at vulnerability assessment and penetration testing and application security as a whole. He is also going to share with us what are the drivers for Draup to look at application security, whether it is for building trust with their customers or compliance needs. With the benefit of hindsight that others can learn from, he will also share what will he do different if he can go back in time. And of course, Kashish has been kind enough to share some very candid stories of his tryst with hacker attacks. Welcome to the show, Kashish. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Application Security Podcast hosted by Indusface. I am Venkatesh Sundar, Venky, founder and technologist and an application security practitioner. And I'm very glad to have Kashish, the CTO of Draup, to be sharing some of his views on the application security best practices. SaaS is a theme of our podcast, mainly because central to any business nowadays is applications, but it takes an elevated level of importance specifically for SaaS companies, because without the application, there is no business, because the application is what is powering the SaaS business. And that business foundationally is built on gaining the trust of the customers to provide a service, whether it is supply chain, logistics, HR, sales enablement, customer relationship management. There are many different kinds of use cases and verticals, either vertical going deep in a vertical or going horizontal that is being built. And because it is built on trust, for the business to gain the trust of their customers, security takes an elevated importance. And hence, it is important to understand and learn from each other how different CTOs and practitioners are looking at security, specifically for SaaS. On that note, once again, welcome, Kashish. Really a pleasure to have you here. Can you introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your company and what Draup does?
Great. Thanks for the opportunity, Venky, and inviting me to the podcast. Great opportunity to share some of our findings, some of our struggles, and some of our experience in the security domain overall. Hi everyone. My name is Kashish, and I'm the CTO of Draup. Draup is a AI-driven platform that drives insights for HR and sales leaders. Right now, we focus on two major use cases: sales and talent intelligence, right? On the sales side, we provide sales teams with context-rich data in an easy-to-use natural language interface. This helps like the go-to-market teams identify new opportunities, understand what's top of mind for customers, their strategic investment priorities, and anticipate key trends overall in the industry as a whole, right? And on the talent side, we create very specific talent customer centric role level and skill level insights that are not available outside in any other platform. This helps the talent strategy team especially to build strategic location and role wise workforce plans. Using Draup's powerful AI engine, we apply our data, which is applied on a database of 750 million profiles. The HR leaders are able to find and hire the right talent with the right skill sets. We also have a tool that can be used to implement cost optimized reskilling initiatives to transform global workforces of teams to become future ready.
Fantastic. So talent management, sales enablement, though both of these are the heartbeat of any business. One is a strategic push to get the right talent and then get them to build products and sell it, right? And which brings me to a very key question. As a SaaS platform, you are by design asking your customers to trust some of their data that you manage and provide insights to them. And in your case, it is HR and sales enablement. So how do you think about application security? I'm pretty sure it is important to you, but why is it important to you? What specifically is the driver for you to give it a significant amount of trust and importance in your company?
So Venky, as you see with any of this cloud native B2B company, right? Security is of the application is very important. So right now we work with the biggest, like for example, the e-commerce players in the world, biggest telecom players, banks, beverage companies, consulting companies and so on, right? And for all of these companies who are working with us, right, it's very important for them to trust us with some of their data as well, right? And to trust our data sets. So security becomes, any kind of security threat, security issues becomes kind of a reputational damage for us, right? And we don't want to do that. So I think that's one very, very important thing. Security of the client data. Second, we are a AI company, right? So we have a lot of models, we have a lot of proprietary data, right? Again, exposure to them is kind of loss of revenue for us overall, right? Because those are data sets that our team has created. So we want to make sure they're safe and secure. We want to make sure there are no downtimes, right? Like, now there's a lot of DDoS attacks happening, right? There are a lot of ethical hackers trying to find a way out inside your systems, right? And again, even a small downtime kind of leads to missed deals, right? Renewals, and then, clients actually trust us for the data that we have for our uptimes, right? We do not want to be in a situation where a customer logs into our platform, right, to get some important data for a meeting that they're going to or for a decision that they're making, right, and the platform is down. So these are the major reasons. We want to just be there always, and always have a reputation of a security first company, right? A company that prioritizes security above everything else.
Fantastic. So I'm going to put you on a spot, Kashish. So I understand, yes, it is important, and specifically for SaaS company, and especially on a kind of use cases that you are building in terms of talent management and sales enablement, it takes an even more elevated importance. But I'm going to put you on a spot. Did you think about it when you're designing the product, or you thought about it only after your customers came and asked you about it?
Okay, that's very interesting question, Venky. I think there's a very interesting story, right? And I would definitely like to share it with the larger group, right? Because it will kind of help people who are, going or onboarding to the entire SaaS based ecosystem, creating products and services on top of this entire ecosystem, right? So we initially, right, like any other startups, what happens in a startup journey is as you're building the product, right, the most important focus is product, right? Keep adding more features, make sure that you are improving your data, you are improving your machine learning models, you are improving the UI UX and getting more customers, right? Getting those initial set of customers. And I think that's where we were, right, when we were building the MVP. And obviously, we knew that, for example, all the security, MFA, lease privileges, all this kind of security best practices, we had written them down, but they never got prioritized in our development cycle, obviously, right? Because the business was always, I need this feature. Why is this not there, right? Like, we need more customers. So we were always focused on that. But generally, we made sure that the passwords are correct and all of that is good, right? Like the general basics of the security hygiene is there, right? And one day, we got a mail from a customer saying we are not able to open your website, and we were like, okay. And we tried to open it on our end, and it worked fine, right? And then we started getting mails from multiple customers. We were not able to figure it out, and suddenly, like while we were browsing, we were like a 5 people, 6 people overall technology team, and we realized that we had been blacklisted. you think about a lot of things, but you never think, and it is completely new to us, right? You think about DDoS attacks, you think about SQL injection, right? You've never thought about getting blacklisted. So what had happened was we had a marketing page hosted on drop.com, right? Which is a external marketing facing website, and it had a WordPress login, right? And the default WordPress login, admin, or whatever that default was there, right? That was just left open. Someone logged in, right, and hosted a malware on one of our blogs. So basically, all this, Google and NordVPN and all of these companies started finding that malware and kind of blacklisting us, right? So then we realized that there are a lot of things in the market that we don't understand. We realize, and it's very important to dedicatedly focus on security and make sure the website is always safe, secure, and everything that we know and we don't know, we are secured against it, and we can sleep peacefully at night. Very honestly, right after that incident, me and our founders, right, whenever we used to get a call at night, or whenever we got a late night mail message, we always were on our feet. Oh, what happened to the platform? Is it fine? Is it still in control? So I think that's when our journey started.
That's a good story, Kashish, and thanks for candidly sharing it. And that's what I like about the startup ecosystem compared to larger companies, especially the SaaS startup ecosystem, and the support system that we are building is not just about sharing success story, but also being comfortable in sharing our mistakes and being honest about, yes, we never thought about it, and these are all the issues that we had, and that's how people learn from each other. And I'm pretty sure this incident kickstarted your vulnerability management and penetration testing program, right?
Yes,
So I
yes,
was going to ask you why, and so after this after this got kickstarted, do you do it more frequently? Is this enabling you to build trust with your customers better by showing a third-party report? Can you share some of your insights on that?
Yes, I think this happens quite a lot, right? Like the kind of companies that we work with, right? These are all the global 500 companies, and when you're going to the RFP process, very important part of it is, have you had a pen testing done, right? Have you had an external validator perform validation on the website, and can you show us a certificate? So it definitely helps having an external provider, right? Because internally also we have a team that kind of keeps checking the static code for any problems, for any kind of perimeter based issues, right? Any kind of inbound not being open over on the AWS side, right? But you can only see so much, or only so much. So having an external certificate, an external person validating it, right, definitely helps build trust with the clients, right? And most importantly for me, like lets me sleep at peace at night, right? I'm just like, okay, our platform is safe, right? Let people come in and push the bots, push everything. We are safe.
Yeah, good. So certainly you have learned from it and done a lot more proactive, more frequent approach to at least getting visibility. Unless and until you get visibility, you cannot take action against the risks, right? So first is to know what are the risks and do it more frequently, as opposed to having your customers find it out at 9 o'clock in the night. You should be one step ahead of that, or at least try to be. Uh,
Yes,
uh,
yes.
so on
And I
that
think
note,
one just quick insight that I wanted to share, right? I think the step one always of solving a problem is knowing it exists, right? Only after this incident is when we knew that there's a security problems that could have been happening, right? So I think that's kind of opened up our eyes, and we started focusing more on it.
yeah. Right. So based on this experience, a new company that is coming up with changing the world with a new AI ML model for some other SaaS use case for a B2B problem, and they're starting up, what would be your advice to them? At what point should they start thinking about application security?
Again, a very interesting question. I would say day zero, right? So what happens is, as you start creating your architectures, as you start creating your, high level diagrams, low level diagrams and everything, right? Start thinking about security from that point itself, right? And make sure that it becomes a very important part of your DNA, right? now with ransomware attacks, DDoS, malware, SQL injection, right? Like FTX, one of the largest companies, crypto companies in the world, and the kind of security that they have, they got hacked for $600 million, right? And so you can imagine the kind of sophistication all these hackers and that they have procured, right? So it's very important to start thinking from day one.
And when you're smaller, even if the attack is small, you can go, you cannot, FTX might be able to sustain it, may or may, but a smaller company will find it tougher to sustain it, maybe.
Exactly. And what happens during the journey, right, Venky, is because there are so many things that are happening. You always have security as it always takes a back seat, right? Because people think that it takes a lot of time. You will have to hire people to do it, and you will have to get more of a staff or someone else to help you out. But I think in today's world, right, where we live in this SaaS domain, right? Platforms like Indusface help a lot. It's kind of plug and play, right? Like, you don't need an external development team to come in and start playing around or adding tools, technologies internally to do that, right? Just get a partner like yourself who can maybe add in a plugin or maybe, just have an external system that does keeps doing pen testing on top of it. And now tools also have this automated kind of patching, right? I think you guys also have that, right? So, the time spent by the development team, by the founders, by the business is almost negligible. All it takes is your knowledge and your understanding that, okay, you know what, you need to focus a little bit on security. So I think that's what a new startup should do.
Yeah, which actually is a good segue to my next question as well. You said start from day zero. And on day zero, typically you're writing your first line of code. You are trying to build something. And one of the hot topic and trends today is DevSecOps, and I keep hearing about shift left and shift left. I have my own views on that, but what is your views on DevSecOps as a trend, and what is your take on that?
Okay, so we at Drop actually follow DevSecOps. We don't call it that, but I think that's what we do. And I think for everyone who might be hearing about it for the first time or might have very limited understanding of it, DevSecOps basically means just like how DevOps has revolutionized your CI/CDs in your automations about your deployment cycles, your push cycles, and everything. DevSecOps wants to add security layer into it, right? So basically, the development team does not think about running tests, running test, making sure there are no vulnerabilities. It comes as a part of your automated testing tools and systems and everything else, right? So I think I'm very much for it, right? And people should start thinking about security right from the time they start architecting, they start opening up the system to others, right? That's very, very important. And this kind of enables that, right? Like having a centralized team take care of the entire security. What also happens is I've seen in larger organizations, security is kind of security owners is in kind of the development team or the people who are working on a specific product, right? And they might obviously not have the kind of understanding, knowledge to handle issues, to solve issues, right? Having a centralized team automating it for you is actually a good initiative. I think overall the industry is adopting.
Who does it and who takes ownership of implementing it is one thing, but as a responsibility, DevSecOps is a product responsibility. Development, security, and operations has to be owned by the product team, right? That's probably, and then you can have specialized people, a centralized security team doing the security part of it, but DevSecOps has to be viewed as one umbrella. But my take on that, honestly, Kashish, I have heard this from other people where they said we are shift left, shift left. And what ends up happening with shift left is they stop doing what's right, which is once it is in production, because they have done secure coding principles, looked at security, taken the go, no go decision before they deploy it. Once it's in production, oh, my deployment cycle has taken care of security, so I don't have to worry about once it's in production. But guess what? There can be a new zero-day attack. There can be a third-party component that you integrate with the changes. So it has to be continuous. DevSecOps is not just shift left. You start early, but you continue it all the way throughout the life cycle of deployment and production. So it's shift left, but don't leave what's right, is my personal take on it.
That's an interesting thing, because I think that's what happens, right? Like this day zero vulnerability that you're talking about, and new issues that people keep finding, right? The ethical hackers that are out there. So on that, I just wanted to share one quick story again, right? Like where what happened with us, right? Like was we hosted a QA server. QA database server, right? And we're just kind of hosting it, we're pushing data, right? And we left the public IP open. Within 15 minutes, Venki, you'll not believe it. Within 15 minutes,
I
that
do
system
believe it.
was, yeah, within 15 minutes, that entire system was hacked, right? There was a file folder saying, please send me X bitcoins if you want to unencrypt your files. Otherwise, I'm going to post it somewhere. It was a QA system for us, and there was hardly any data, maybe user login record, that's it, right? But I was like, 15 minutes is all it takes. So,
But I don't believe it. It took 15 minutes. There are studies which shows that if you put a vulnerable server and make it a
yeah.
public IP, it takes a lot lesser than a few minutes to have probes and attack vectors coming towards it. So
Oh,
you were lucky
yeah.
that it took 15 minutes.
Yeah, it might have happened faster. We might have realized it after 15 minutes.
Yeah. Fantastic. So, are there any pitfalls that you want firms to avoid, SaaS firms to avoid, especially when you are too stretched on time? Any pitfalls? I mean, application security is important, but would you have any recommendation or pitfalls that you would tell them to avoid based on your learnings?
Okay. I think what happens, especially for new SaaS companies, right? And as you said, all the innovative companies that are coming up, right? So they plug in into tools, technologies that are not well tested in the market, right? Especially the open source tools that are out there. Like, you release a new version and, the companies want to start using it. So I would always say wait for it to get stable, right? You look at a new phone, like for example, if Samsung launches a new watch today, right? Or Google launches a new tab today, right? You'll always find the first versions to have some issues there, right? Similarly, for all these open source tools, technologies, right? They'll definitely have issues. Wait for it to get stable before you start, using it. Second thing I would say is, always keep the teams involved, right? When I say that, what I mean is generally the burnt of security, right, is kind of burnt by the engineering side teams, right? I think getting people involved, the business side, the product side, and the other teams, right? At least educating them, making them understand the importance of it, right, goes a long way making your life easier. When you spend that time, money, or whatever is there for making your platform system safe, right? That education helps you a lot. And another thing that I always kind of say is, you are not an expert. You might have read 10 blogs, you might have used a lot of open source tools, technologies. Always take a external partner's help as well, right? They are as example that you were saying, right? They're literally on a daily level, there are new threads, the new issues that people are discovering, right? So it's always better to take an external person's help for security, and you focus on your core work. I think
Don't try
that's
to
what
do
we should.
everything yourselves. Yeah. So
Exactly,
that's a
exactly.
partnership ecosystem. Uh, in terms of how frequently do you do your vulnerability testing and pen testing? Is it automated scanning? Do you recommend doing it daily? How frequently do you want to do a risk assessment?
So again, when we fill up all these RFP forms, right, they have this question: how frequently do it, right? There is an option for weekly. There's an option for monthly. There's an option for quarterly. There's an option for yearly, right? But using a platform like Indusface, I think what has helped us is it has become a daily thing for us, right? So every day it automatically runs, right? You get a report. So I think we do it daily. Like, I think our automated scans are scheduled for daily, and manual pen testing, I think, happens twice a year.
As when you go through some major changes on your applications
Yes.
or something. Fantastic. I think thank you very much for this. I think we are going to get into a fun round right now. Right now we are talking about tech and mumbo jumbo, but now we want to know the person behind the company and the CTO, what is in the CTO mindset, and know a little bit more about the CTO themselves who are trying to do a lot of things, security being one of them. So it's going to be a rapid fire round, Kashish. You won't get time to think through your answer. What comes to your mind, you have to answer it.
Do I get a hamper like how they get it in this, talk shows and TV?
With Karan or something. Yes, when we meet, I will. It's on me. You'll get a hamper. It's virtually. I cannot give it. Yeah. What's your favorite book and movie?
So my favorite movie is Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, right? I just love that movie. Very fun movie, right? I have been a big fan of fiction during my college time, and one of my favorite books is the Da Vinci Code. Right? I just love it.
Fictional history, right? So it's very appropriate and can come only from a CTO and a person thinking about security issues. Zindagi na milegi dobara, jab tak sab theek chal rahe chalne do, kabhi call aayega pata nahi, right? And fictional books, obviously, because to the people who are non-technologists, every mumbo jumbo we say feels like fiction till reality hits you, right? So sometimes, so Amitabh Bachchan का dialogue है, अस्तित्व fiction से बहुत खतरनाक होता है, ऐसा कुछ तो एक movie में आया था. So anyway, good one. I think I would probably see similar kind of patterns of fiction and similar kind of movie styles. I personally like those two things myself. Fruit cake or chocolate cake?
What is your favorite movie?
Three Idiots.
Three Idiots. Wow.
I think you can probably take a guess of my generation as well. I won't, but yeah, it's an 80s and 90s. People who passed out in 90s can relate to that movie so well.
Yes.
But my favorite book is my favorite author is Dan Brown.
Oh, wow. Really?
But I liked Origin more than Da Vinci Code.
Okay.
Origin talks about AI and I will not give any spoilers for people who have read the book, but it is it's a different kind of Dan Brown book.
It is. And the interesting thing about Dan Brown is some of the things are so close to reality, right? Sometimes you expect things to, in your mind, this might have happened, or this could have happened, or this will happen.
A lot of what he says has actually happened. If you look at this book, it's fiction, but the storyline he builds around Leonardo da Vinci, if there is a lot of historical factual points in there. And then he builds a storyline of fiction around it. It was just amazing, right? Origin is a little bit different because it is fiction all the way from start to end. It doesn't have the Da Vinci or the other one. What is the other one? Da Vinci is the most famous, but there is a few other ones as well, which if you read Da Vinci Code, all the other Dan Brown books look the same. All right. Anyway, I think we can keep talking about Dan Brown forever, being the geeks we are. But the next question, next rapid fire. Fruit cake or chocolate cake?
Chocolate cake, always.
Brain food, right? We all are, for CTOs where left brain, we need that stimulation to the brain. What is your favorite technology website?
Hacker News. So this is Hacker News. This is a website by Y Combinator. Very well structured, very nice website.
Good. What's your take on choice? Remote work, in person, or hybrid?
I think I would go with hybrid. Generally, I like meeting people. I like socializing with people. I like working together. But if you stay in a place like Bangalore, right, the travel, the commute is bad. So hybrid for me at this point of time.
Good one. Yeah, me too. A young coder aspiring to be a CTO. What is the one line of advice? A young developer who wants to be a CTO.
I think I would tell them don't aspire to be a CTO, aspire to be a developer, a programmer, and be a good architect instead, right? I think the path will lead you to it, but don't aspire to be a CTO. It does not.
It's a dialogue from Three Idiots. Go after excellence. Success will automatically come behind you, right? Don't go after success. Go after excellence. So be good in what you are doing, and then the other things will come to you. So good. Be good and be a developer and do what you are good at. Be the best you can, and then other things will follow. All right. Prefer email or
Yeah, it's all not rosy. It looks, you get to be a CTO, life becomes better. It gets worse. So be happy with what you're doing.
All right, coming from the heart, I think. Seems like you got a few other mails today. All right, email or text messages?
I think depends on what we are doing, right? I would prefer text always for anything personal, and for official communication, I would add one more part to it where I call like Team/Slack, right? I always like if there's an email conversation, I would move that to Teams or Slack, right? There's more personal conversation that happens, and it gets rid of all the politics and all the buzzwords, right? It's actual work that gets done.
How do you keep yourself updated with technology? What are the things you
So,
do to keep yourself?
okay, okay. So I think I follow a lot of good folks on Twitter. I follow, and I have kind of also subscribed to a lot of newsletters. So I have like, I think around 20-25 newsletters from a lot of technology experts. One of the best ones that I like right now is TLDR. It's very concise, very good. There's some advertisements in between, but actually very good to, understand about what's happening.
Excellent. And last one, outdoor or indoor?
I like outdoors. I like the outdoors.
Yeah, because we spend a lot of time indoors anyway as part of tech, right?
Yes.
Excellent. That was a fun round. It really gave a lot of insight to the person behind the technology that they are building. And all the best. The Draup is doing some amazing work. And Kashish, it was a pleasure hosting you. And there's a lot of insights and a lot of things I learned. And I'm hopefully the people who are listening to this will learn as well.
That would be great. And thanks a lot, Venky, for the opportunity. I had a lot of fun.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.